Imagine it. You're walking alone through Norway's frozen wilderness. The wind slices through your clothing. The ground beneath your feet is hard as stone, and the path ahead is already sinking into the shadows of late afternoon. It's November 24th, 1970. In the distance, three figures move toward you. A woman leads, elegantly dressed, yet her eyes are vacant. Her steps are slow, almost weightless, as if she's drifting through a dream. As if she doesn't belong in this world. Behind her, two men follow. Dark clothing, thin jackets, sneakers. Far too light for this kind of cold. As they come closer, you notice the woman. She lifts her hand, just slightly, a hesitant, almost pleading gesture, as if she's trying to speak or warn you. But before a word is spoken, one of the men steps beside her and without saying a thing, gently urges her onward. You stop. Something about the moment freezes you, the quiet desperation in her eyes. But what can you do? You're alone, far from any road, far from anyone. You watch them disappear into the fog. That feeling, that something was wrong, clings to you all the way home. The next day, you tell the police what you saw. Their response? A shrug. No questions, no notes, no report. 5 days later, November 29th, you see the headline in the newspaper. A burned body found in Isdalen, right where you saw the woman. And you know, without a doubt, it was her. November 29th, 1970. A father hikes a narrow mountain trail with his two daughters, somewhere deep in the Norwegian wilderness. The path leads into a valley that locals mention only in whispers. Isdalen, the Ice Valley, a place wrapped in legend, known by many as the Valley of Death. Silent, remote. And over the years, again and again, the setting of tragic ends. A still place, veiled in mist, where the rocks crowd in close and the sky rarely shows its face. The girls laugh as children do, tossing leaves, climbing over roots, until something stops them. At the edge of the trail, half covered by fallen leaves, lies something that doesn't belong. On a flat rock sat a suitcase, not discarded, but deliberately placed, as if someone had set it there with care. Next to it, a piece of clothing. A scarf, perhaps. Its edges burned. The father stepped closer, and between the rocks, he saw something that took his breath away. A human body, charred, blackened, arms raised in a strange, frozen posture, as if trying to fight something off, long after it was too late. For a moment, no one moved. Then the father grabbed his daughters by the hands, pulled them away, and ran, as fast as he could to get help. All three knew, without a word, something unspeakable had happened here. The police arrived quickly, but what they found left even the most seasoned investigators stunned. It looked as if someone had tried, with great care and determination, to erase every clue to the woman's identity. She lay on her back, as if she had fallen into the fire that had half consumed her. Only the front of her body was severely burned, her face disfigured beyond recognition, her back strangely untouched. Her arms were drawn up toward her chest, bent at unnatural angles, a frozen gesture that seemed to speak of silent resistance. Or was it not resistance at all, but a final silent act of surrender? Scattered around her lay the remains of a life reduced to ash, an empty liquor bottle, sleeping pills, shreds of a green-blue checkered scarf, soaked with the stench of gasoline, a collapsed umbrella, a watch, a spoon, partially melted, a few pieces of jewelry, and what was left of a passport, so badly burned, its origin could no longer be determined. Her clothing was found nearby, almost entirely consumed by fire. But one detail sent a chill down investigators' spines. Every label had been carefully cut out, each one removed with surgical precision. At first, it seemed like suicide. But then, the contradictions began to surface. The autopsy revealed unsettling details. There were bruises on the woman's neck, clear signs of possible violence, but they weren't what killed her. She had been alive when the fire consumed her. Death came from a combination of smoke inhalation and severe burns. Her stomach contained a large dose of sleeping pills, enough to dull her senses, but not enough to end her life. The tips of her fingers had been deliberately worn away, not by labor, but through force. On purpose. Inside her digestive system, traces of a final meal. Its origin was never identified. Her luggage offered no answers. Every serial number, every trace of origin, gone. Removed with the same unsettling precision as the labels in her clothes. No name, no identity, no past. The police were chasing a ghost. A woman without a history, a shadow that refused to be placed. Who was she? And why had someone worked so carefully to erase her? Then, just days later, the investigation took an unexpected turn. Despite the woman's scorched fingertips, investigators were able to lift partial prints. They matched those found on 2 suitcases previously discovered at the Bergen train station. The luggage was conclusively linked to her. But its contents only deepened the mystery. Elegant clothing, several wigs, high-end cosmetics, prescription sunglasses, a notebook filled with coded writing, and various objects stripped of any labels or identifiable origin. Among the cash, 500 Deutsche Marks and 130 Norwegian kroner, was a postcard. Sent, it seemed, by an Italian photographer with connections to Bergen. Police found the man. His statement was vague, but it raised more questions than it answered. He remembered having dinner with her once. She had claimed to be from South Africa, traveling through Norway on a 6-month journey. But who this photographer truly was remains a mystery. His name was never made public, and to this day, his connection to the woman is little more than a shadow. The postcard, like so much else in this case, led nowhere. Despite photographs and composite sketches being circulated across Europe through Interpol and intelligence agencies, the question of her identity remained unanswered. As police began to retrace her movements, a disturbing pattern emerged. She traveled by train, stayed in high-end hotels, paid in cash, and changed her appearance regularly, sometimes wearing a dark wig, sometimes blonde, sometimes with glasses, sometimes without. Hotel staff described her as stylish, reserved, always polite, but always at a distance. Some said she seemed constantly alert, as if she were being watched, or watching someone else. She had traveled across Europe under a string of false identities, fluent in several languages, German, Flemish, French, almost accent-free. Her appearance shifted constantly. Wigs, dyed hair, subtle transformations. In the weeks leading up to her death, she checked into multiple hotels across Norway, each time with a new name, a new nationality, new forged documents, sometimes Belgian, sometimes French, sometimes Dutch. Her signatures bore names like Fenella Lorch and Claudia Tielt, but none of them were real, not a single one. Witnesses described her as composed, almost cold, a woman of precise movements and quiet control. Nothing she did felt accidental. Maybe it was that very perfection that kept her hidden in plain sight. Her journey took her across Norway, Trondheim, Stavanger, Oslo, Bergen, often near places of strategic interest, military installations, weapons depots, testing grounds. Coincidence, or something else? In the end, Norwegian police ruled it a suicide. The case was officially closed, but that conclusion has been contested ever since. Many believe it's impossible, that after ingesting a heavy dose of sleeping pills, the woman could have made her way into the rocky crevice and set herself on fire. To this day, 3 leading theories remain about what really happened in the Ice Valley. A violent crime. Some believe the woman was brought to the site against her will, escorted by 2 men. When she tried to make contact with a passing hiker, they stopped her. After that, the theory goes, she was forced to take sleeping pills, then struck, and her body set on fire. An assisted suicide. Others believe she planned her own death, but didn't do it alone. 2 men may have helped her, promising to destroy her body afterward, to protect a secret that would die with her. A ritual. The careful placement of her belongings has led to speculation about a symbolic act, a ritual, possibly spiritual or cultic in nature. A sacrifice, perhaps, carried out by her own hand, or by others, in service of something larger. In 1970, Europe lived in the shadow of the Cold War, a continent divided, driven by mistrust, covert operations, and a silent race for secrets. East against West, a conflict that rarely erupted on the surface, but never stopped simmering underneath. Scandinavia played a unique role, officially neutral, but strategically vital. And in the midst of this tension, a rumor began to spread, one that still echoes today. Was the Isdal woman a spy, a Stasi agent, KGB, or working for the West? Some details seem to point in that direction. Her perfect command of several languages, her many false identities, her repeated stays near military sites, and above all, her death. A body burned beyond recognition, an identity erased, not the signs of suicide, but of a silencing. No proof, no names, just fragments, clues without context. But sometimes, fragments are enough to keep a mystery alive for generations. 2016, decades after her body was found, the case was officially reopened as a cold case. A Norwegian team set out to re-examine the mystery using modern forensic technology. DNA was analyzed. Her teeth were studied for clues to her origin. And finally, some answers emerged. She likely came from the border region between Germany and France. Her age was re-estimated, between 36 and 44 years old. She was probably well-educated, highly intelligent, and absolutely determined never to be identified. A podcast called Death in Ice Valley, produced by the BBC and NRK, brought the case back into the spotlight. It even led to new testimony. An elderly man came forward, claiming he had met her decades earlier as a young soldier. He said she warned him to stay away from things he didn't understand. What did she know? Officially, the case was ruled a suicide in 1971. But many believe that was just the most convenient explanation. Too many questions remain. Why did she erase every trace of who she was? Who benefited from her death? Why did no one come looking for her? And perhaps the most chilling question of all, who got to her first? One theory says she was exposed and silenced, eliminated before she could reveal what she knew. Another suggests she wanted to vanish, and that her death was staged. Maybe the body wasn't even hers. Or perhaps she was simply a woman who never wanted to be found, and whose story was never meant to be told. Her final resting place was prepared on February 5, 1971. A Catholic ceremony. No name, no headstone, just a numbered grave in Bergen. And yet, in the archives, and in the minds of those who remember, she remains. The Isdal Woman. A shadow from a time when no one was who they claimed to be. And a mystery that may never be solved, but will never be forgotten.